All right, the meeting will come to order. This is a meeting of the Littlestown Area Board of School Directors. This is a live in-person meeting taking place in the public in accordance with the Sunshine Act. By attending and or commenting publicly in this meeting, you're consenting to the recording, retention, and future hearing of this meeting. This meeting is also being live streamed as a convenience to the public. In the event the live stream fails or cannot be transmitted for any reason, the in-person meeting will continue without interruption. Carrie, would you please call the roll?
Mary Brenneman. Here. Philip Perez.
Here.
Nick Lovell.
Here.
Jeannie Ewan. Here. Janelle Ressler. Here. Wayne Sullivan.
Here. Stephen
Yerger.
Here.
Danielle Brenneman. Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. There's a moment of silence. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. There's no public comment, so at this time we will move into the board member vacancy interviews to fill the board seat. We have two candidates to those interviews. They're facing to us. Donna Bayless and Rachel Hutchison. Welcome. We thank you for applying. We thank you for having interest to serve the community in this capacity and join on board, and best of luck. So, similar to previously, we will ask. Okay. We will ask each candidate the same question. Ms. Bayless, you will start the first question. Ms. Hutchison, you will start the second question, and we will go back and forth. There are any questions? There are no commercial breaks.
Yes, thank you. Wonderful.
So, so please, when we ask you a question, give your brief answer, and either you candidates have questions about the process. Board members have any questions about the process? All right. Our first question is, what motivated you to seek a position on the school board, and how do you see yourself contributing to the district's success? Ms. Bayless.
So I've been in public service for quite a while, actually most of my life. I've been in education for many, many years, excess of 10. Spent 10 years on the school board. But yes, I spent 10 years on the school board in Maryland, and larger school board than this. School system was approximately 85 to 90% larger than Littlestown. So I enjoy working with people. I enjoy working and spending time with the kids. I love kids. They're wonderful. They're honest. They're very wrong. And I like giving back to my community. And so when I retired from Maryland and moved up here, I just kind of relaxed for a while. And then when I realized, I really need to give back, I came to one meeting, one school meeting to watch. I thought, wow, I really could offer what I have knowledge of, what my experience is, and just help, just give back and help. So I think that's really what I pursue.
Okay. Ms. Hutchison, any questions to you?
So I think my interest in having some sort of public office probably started in high school and college. So I was very interested in civics, but probably more interested at the exciting level, or what seemed exciting, the federal level and stuff. I got the equivalent of a political science minor alongside communications degree because I thought I was going to pursue that, but decided that at the time it was more important for me to pursue other interests and have more space in my life for personal things alongside whatever career I took on. So some of it comes from that interest that I had back then, as I've lived in Littlestown since 2001, seeing more of a local community, a smaller community, and how that works in terms of the local government municipality became a lot more interesting to me, because it was day to day, the work day to day really impacts the people that you're talking to at the football game or in your neighborhood. I think for me, one of the biggest things that made me feel really a part of community here in Littlestown was when I started working with the band boosters and volunteering at the concession stand, and just that community. And every night, there were the same 2 or 3 people that got there, you know, at 6 o'clock, and they were the same hot dog and the same drink and that. But you just saw the community and the way that people really supported each other. So that's what really drove me to consider a community role. Education is one of my passions. That has developed over the years of working with my own children. I have 2 graduates who are now in college, and I have a daughter who's in high school. Education I had a lot of neuro differences in my family with my children, different types of education needs, and going through that, I saw how hard it is to meet those needs, and how some families may have the means, the understanding, the ability to quickly get what they need for their child, take them to the right doctors, get the right services, and some parents just don't have that opportunity. They're working 3 jobs, and they need someone to come along and kind of lay that out for them and say, here's how we can help you. And that's one of the most important things to me with the school board role, is making sure that students get what they need in the classroom, that they feel safe in the classroom, and that safety has a lot of different caveats to it, but it's being able to put a direct impact on that that's important to me. I think from my experience, I have the personal side of raising children. I have my children spend some time in private school because when they were younger, I was not getting some of the supports I needed, and I made the decision that for them to get what they needed to succeed, I had to choose other options. And so I've seen a lot of different ways things work. I've seen a lot of different education styles. I also, on the career side, have a broad spectrum of experience at a healthcare insurer, which in the Medicare and Medicaid lines of business, including, and then also the Affordable Care Act and implementing that. So I understand regulations, I understand you have to follow them, I understand how it works. Also, you've got to think outside the box sometimes to make things work. And you can do that within a highly regulated space. And I think that's something I could really bring to this board, is that those experiences. Sometimes you have to find different ways to get things done. Sometimes you have to find different ways to meet the needs of the students. And you can do that, but it takes some time.
Ms. Hutchinson, you can start with the second question. What experience do you have with governance, policy development, or board decision-making in complex organizations?
Thank you. I swear, you did not give me the questions before, and these are brand new, so. Okay, so
I did not give them for the.
No.
Not sarcastic.
I got lucky there. Okay, so I started with a health insurance company back in the late 90s. I was working in individual business before we had the Affordable Care Act. I actually helped with the implementation of the Affordable Care Act at the largest mid-Atlantic insurer, which is CareFirst Blue Cross Blue Shield. I was working day to day on the teams for that and implementing something that had a bunch of rules that no one really understood and that were constantly changing. I worked on 3 different exchanges that we had to implement. Maryland built their own exchange to sell insurance. DC built their own, and Virginia used the federal one. And the Maryland one blew up and didn't come up for 3 weeks. So I'm used to dealing with tough situations. I spent a lot of time in the communications realm of that space when we were going through that. So people heard quotes in the news. You may remember if you like your insurance, you won't have to change. Well, that wasn't quite true, And I was the person writing the letters to explain to people why that wasn't the case, how that was going to work, developing the communication strategies for it. I've managed a compliance team within health insurance industry, Medicare, Medicaid, and Affordable Care Act. So I understand the pillars of compliance and how that works. I learned a lot from that team about how to set forth a good program that makes compliance, I don't say easy, but sets up the right scenario for it to do well. Probably my biggest asset, and it's hard to put this one into words, I had some really good mentors who saw things that I could do well that I didn't realize I could do well. Through that, I got a chance to do everything from budgeting for an $80 million a year budget to strategy, development, to business. We purchased 2 Medicaid companies, bringing that in and putting that in the organization. But what that taught me was to be able to know just enough to get deep, to get just deep enough to understand what was going on, to then step up at a higher level and make connections that otherwise people wouldn't notice. And that's where you can sometimes find your potential holes, and you can also find your potential efficiencies and savings. I've sat on a board of directors for a smaller nonprofit in Westminster as well, and of course governance through that as well. So.
Thank you. Do you repeat it?
Well, I got the board governance and policies. What else was that?
What
question?
experience do you have with governance, policy development, and decision-making in complex organizations?
Okay, so I've handled all of that, okay, with a school of over 40,000 students, approximately 7,000 employees, and a budget of $500 million. We did all of that. We constantly review policy. As a board, we pretty much wrote almost all of our policies ourselves. They were then reviewed with legal. We mostly wrote all our own policies. As far as board governance, I have experience and training from national school board conferences that dealt with nothing but board governance. State board conferences, 3 state board conferences that did board governance for 4 days straight. So I did that for 3 years. Just a lot. The ins and outs of running a school system, working with people you might have trouble getting along with. Communication is really the key to all that. So, what else was besides board governance and policy? What else was your question?
Decision making.
Decision making. Well, for decision making, you pretty much have what you have in front of you to decide whether it's going to work or not. In regards to finance, which is probably one of your biggest things for the school system, you have to stay within your budget, and that's usually the biggest challenge. And you know, you just need to be able to keep your students and your parents and your community in mind, so that every kid that comes through your school system, whether it's K through 12, despite their age or ability, they need to be able to get the best education we can offer them. And if that means that they're on the high level of the scale, so that they're taking all AP classes, God bless them, that's great. But the ones that aren't able to take the AP classes, that need you know, a lot more services and a lot more attention from staff and administration, then you have to make sure you have what you need in place to handle that. And your school system is already doing that pretty much already. You've got a fabulous classroom organization going for autistic students. That's awesome. You're in the middle of going through a renovation right now with your high school. You did, and this may be veering off topic a little bit, but I want to say before I miss it. you did a good job in the meeting last week when you asked about the gym. If the gym was in the scope of work, it should have been done. If it was in the pictures, you'd think that that would be part of the scope of work. I don't know how it fell through the cracks, but if that was part of the scope, it should have been done. So keeping an eye on all of these things, the job varies drastically from curriculum to finance to facilities to employment to staffing to contracts to negotiations to arbitration. I dealt with 3 different unions. We went to arbitration many times. And arbitration's not pleasant, but I gotta tell you, it's really good when you get to a point that both sides get what they feel they need, and both sides are happy with the results and the end that you come to. And your staff really needs to know that they're doing a good job and you appreciate them. And the community needs to know that they have a say in the matter, whether they're retirees or people that, working people that don't even have any children in their family. They're still paying taxes. They're still paying school taxes, whether their kids or not. So to reach all those different entities and to, be able to follow through with all that and make it all connect is important. So I have that experience.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Question number 3. What do you believe an effective working relationship between the school board, the superintendent, and the administration should look like?
So you have a lot of different partners in that group, okay? And they all have their own positions that they do. And to try to pull it all together and make it work, you have to be able to get along with a lot of different people. It doesn't mean you agree with them all the time. And it doesn't mean that it's always a friendly, warm, and fuzzy situation. But you have to at least be able to hear them out, understand what they're saying, and try to come to some sort of agreement. Let the person know that you hear them and you understand what they're saying. And it should be a team effort, really. It should be a team effort. You need to work good, work well with a group. And the focus is, it's the board's vision of what the school system should be. The superintendent carries out that vision. And, the superintendent tells the board what he or she needs as far as a budget, and the board needs to support that and work to a way to be able to foster enough financing in order for the budget to be carried on. I mean, you have taxing authority in Pennsylvania. That's pretty powerful, actually. We didn't have that in Maryland, so we actually went to Annapolis every year, and we did the whole, they refer to it as the Vegathon, and literally they did. And it was basically where you got to know your representatives really well, and you explained why your jurisdiction, why your area of your county within the state really needed the additional funds that they weren't necessarily designated to get, scheduled to get. And so you get to know your politics and how Annapolis worked really well, but you guys have the taxing authority here, so although that actually puts a much stronger burden upon the board members themselves, because there's accountability for that. And it's not the people in Annapolis, it's the people you live with right here in your community daily. You see them, you drive past them, you live with them. So there's a much higher, in my opinion, accountability, because the taxing authority that you may have and you may have to use, you've got to make sure you follow through and use it appropriately, because they're people you're living with. So.
Do you mind repeating it one more time and speaking up just a little bit louder?
What do you believe an effective working relationship between the school board and the superintendent and administration should look like?
So I think the key to that is really collaboration, it's working together. That, obviously, the board sits as that 10th member, or excuse me, the superintendent sits as that 10th member of the board. I think that, so, the key relationship really is the board is coming up with is identifying the policies, they're approving those. They are identifying the goals that they want the district to meet. And then the superintendent's coming in and they're the one that is managing and making that happen, whatever those resources may be. Obviously, it's quite clear there's a lot of interaction with other people from the administration as well,